all orange. No ring light. How do you change the white balance, Sophia? I don't know. Oh well.
Well, hello friends, and welcome to Ariel's Twilight Years, how to be a really old model. It seemed like a very good time to talk about whether it's possible to be a feminist and a submissive. There's a couple of reasons why this is relevant to me this month. One, I can't talk about at the moment, so you'll just have to guess, but it's interesting. And the second is that every time I come here, several people will always warn me that driving abroad might be quite dangerous for me. And I can't help but see this as a gender issue, because driving abroad isn't actually very hard. And I don't think, generally, men who go abroad to pursue their careers get so much well-meaning advice about remembering to drive on the correct side of the road. So I think it's time for me to talk about my vision of feminism and whether it is or is not possible to be a feminist and also a sexual submissive, which is what I am, both in my personal life and professionally in a lot of my modelling work. From time to time, when I reference the fact that I am a feminist, people say to me that I can't be a feminist because I'm submissive, and I do not see those two things as conflicting at all. So I'm just going to talk you through why that is, and why, if you yourself are a female submissive, why you shouldn't feel like you can't call yourself a feminist either. Now, obviously, there are many different versions of feminism, some of which are not seen in a very positive light by my industry, because feminism can be quite authoritarian. Personally, my version of feminism is, as you might expect, quite libertarian. So I'm going to talk it through with you. The first time I got the sense that I might be a feminist by instinct was when I was 8 years old, when I joined the school's cricket club. I liked cricket because my dad liked cricket and I liked my dad. But my primary interest in joining the cricket club was that there were no girls. And politically, I felt that was not correct. That since theoretically we were allowed to be members of the cricket club, I felt there should be a girl in it. So that was probably my first ever feminist act. And then at 16, when I started my A-level sociology course, the first thing we learned about was conjugal roles and a study by Rappaport and Rappaport in, I think, 1969, where they talked about the way in which dual career families, where both the husband and wife had a career, possibly the same career. I think they may have studied medical doctors who were married to other medical doctors, how quite often the woman in that partnership would do more of the household work. So I've been a feminist most of my life, but I've also been aware of my interest in BDSM for most of my life. So I am, all the way through, in my heart, both submissive sexually and definitely feminist. Feminism to me is really simple. For me, it's just about having equal rights to men, equal opportunities to men, and sharing all the same responsibilities that men have. So, I'm going to give you some examples in my life and career. First of all, rights. I want to have the right to pursue my career just the same way that a man would, and that includes travelling for work, making my own money, making my own decisions about how I make that money, and making my own decisions about how I spend that money. For me, those things are really important. It's only chance that I happen to be a woman, and it's only chance that I happen to be a submissive. I believe that I can be just as much a feminist as a submissive as I could as a dominant. It's only chance that I'm not a female dominant, and it's only chance that I'm not a man. If I were a man, I would want to be able to pursue my desire to be submissive just in the same way that I do as a woman. And so I feel as though our right to pursue our sexual identity should not be limited by our gender. This seems quite simple to me, and I hope that not too many people would disagree with that. Sometimes people seem to think that my sexual tastes must affect my worldview, and I certainly try not to let them. Although I like to assume submissive roles sexually, I reject submissive roles in real life as a general rule, because I feel as though everyone should be equal. In terms of opportunities, I think the main way in which my desire to be treated as an equal to a man affects me is that I don't want to be warned off taking opportunities because of the perceived risks of doing those things because I'm a woman. This particularly relates to doing my job because it's sometimes seen by the people who care about me as a very dangerous thing that I do, travelling the world on my own, pursuing my career. I think one of the things that stuck in my head and has done throughout my adult life was I read Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale when I was a teenager, and Aunt Lydia, one of the bad guys in the book, is justifying the authoritarian and very sexist regime to the handmaids by saying, once upon a time, pre-authoritarian Gilead, you women were given freedom too. You had freedom to do things, and now in this regime you have freedom from risk, freedom from danger, freedom from responsibilities. And I don't want freedom from, I don't think it's anyone's job to give me that. I don't want freedom from risk, I want to control and assess risk for myself in my career and in my life. I want freedom too. I think that is the best form of feminism. I think that being a woman shouldn't dissuade me from enjoying the freedoms that appeal to me. I don't think it should dissuade any woman from enjoying the freedoms that appeal to her. I wanted to follow my dreams, and for me that involves sometimes travelling around the world to collaborate with the people who can help me make that happen. I don't see why I should have to take a partner with me because I'm a woman, or another model as a chaperone because I'm a woman. If I was a man, I'd be travelling around the world on my own, staying in hotels and driving my own car. And so I want the opportunity to do exactly the same thing in the same way that a man would, because I think I am no less capable than a man, as is evidenced by my sister models who do the same thing as me. Shout out to Sophia Smith, to Natalia Forrest, to Zoe Page, to Lucy Lauren, Ashley Lane, Rachel Adams. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, obviously. There are many of us doing exactly this on our own, taking responsibility for ourselves because we want the opportunities that that affords us. And finally, responsibilities. I guess this is the one that sometimes feels most important to me because the others are privileges, and I guess it is tempting to avoid responsibilities when your culture allows you to. So for example, I really like chivalry and good manners. I like it when men hold doors open for me and pay for meals, but because I like those things, I make sure I reciprocate. I want to make sure that I don't take advantage of the fact that I'm a woman, and traditionally sometimes we haven't been expected to do those things. And I also don't want to take advantage of the fact that my industry is one of the very few that financially rewards women. Women in this industry tend to earn a lot more than men. It's currently much better to be a female model producer than a male traditional producer in terms of finance and opportunities. And so I feel, since I am in that situation, I would like to be the kind of woman who doesn't allow men to be disadvantaged, which is why I pay my male cast and crew exactly the same as I pay my female cast and crew when I'm producing, because although in this industry there is a little bit of a tradition of not paying men because you often can get men to do this stuff for free, I feel like if I'm really a feminist, if I'm a good feminist, I have to not take advantage of the fact that I might be able to get stuff for free from men. I don't want to ever play on the idea of being weaker, because I don't think I am weaker. But there is a specific responsibility that does come up, and that is, what is it responsible to shoot? As a heterosexual submissive masochist, obviously the things that I want to shoot tend to have men assuming dominant roles and women assuming submissive roles. Just from time to time, when my work goes up online, I will get comments from people questioning whether it's okay to do some of the activities that I do, given the prevalence of domestic violence and violence towards women by men in our society. And as a result, of course, I have thought long and hard about that issue. And I come to the conclusion that why on earth should I curb my desires to shoot what I like because some men abuse women? Who wins if I cease to represent my sexuality the way it really is? I certainly don't win. And it doesn't help them either, as far as I can see. Since it seems currently especially politically difficult to be a woman who wants to play submissive roles, I consider who will win if I start playing dominant roles instead? It'll be less politically sensitive and it would probably make me quite a lot more money. But who would win if I did that? Certainly not me. I wouldn't be representing myself truthfully anymore. I wouldn't be producing the work that I love anymore. And I'd be turning myself into a commodity because I wouldn't be honestly expressing my sexuality. I'd just be doing what made other people comfortable. And my responsibility is firstly to myself. And I'm going to shoot the stuff that I want to see in the world and that I find beautiful. I am, of course, against any non-consensual violence towards women or towards anybody, from women or from men. And it is my opinion that the only place for tying people up, hurting them, spanking them, whipping them, the only place for any of those activities is within a consensual BDSM relationship. Very many years ago, someone commented on my blog that I ran at the time, saying that he found my work distasteful and my enjoyment of it glib, given that there were abuse survivors in the world. But my opinion is that the enjoyment of BDSM as a submissive/masochist is not an activity that is only to be enjoyed by people who've been lucky enough not to experience physical or sexual abuse in their past. BDSM is for everyone as long as they can cope with it, and those of us who have experienced sexual assault or physical assault in the past have every right to explore consensual BDSM, just like those of us who haven't been assaulted or abused have every right to express their sexuality. So those are my opinions on being a submissive and also a feminist. I would be very fascinated to know your views, especially if you also identify as one or both of those things. Please comment below and I will get back to you hopefully in the near future about why this was such a relevant video for me to make this month. So thank you as always for listening. I am as always Ariel and I've put the deadbolt on my door. Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye.